Got a nice little IG Auto Malleus quickie. I feel like we're getting a few of these recently. I suppose it is a bit of a brutal matchup. I've said it before, I do think the IG kind of stomp the Auto Malleus if they go for the double Kadashin build. It's very hard to counter. But YZ isn't. He hasn't learnt yet. He hasn't learnt the ways of the 1v1. Double Kadashin's probably not so good in 3v3, where it can be focus fired and scales worse. The reason why Kadashins are so good in 1v1 is because for IG, your units aren't very good when solo. The Sentinel's really good solo at the start of the game, but it loses that potential really fast as units start to level up. And it stops being able to bleed things easily, and it loses HP faster, which then means you have to spend more time repairing with your guardsmen. Kadashins aren't like that. Their CC abilities, the fact that they're good in ranged and melee, they basically win all 1v1 fights, and that's really strong when you're running them down the sides in a 1v1. Combine that with the anti-melee capabilities that they provide you, it's really good against the Auto Malleus, who of course, the Grey Knights, rely on melee quite a bit. But for that reason, the Aversa Assassin is probably the best OM hero to actually fight IG, and that's because he can actually become quite a powerful ranged hero by picking up his Neurotoxin pistol. So you would assume he's going to get that. Then again, YZ hasn't gone for double Kadashins, at least not yet. He's gone for double Guardsman opening, and that's going to delay his Kadashins quite a lot. It's definitely 100% a weaker opening because it leaves you a lot more vulnerable to Strike Squad beating up in melee. Little early there from Mostafa on the Psychon. You want to use that when you're actually in melee charge, so you're getting the advantage of the extra damage on your pistols for longer. Okay, why is he playing it quite odd? He's going to go for a heavy weapons team, so presumably he'll get the power sword as well to help counter-initiate some interceptors. I think that's quite risky against Grey Knights, even with your Commissar. You might struggle in a big brawl, especially in Tier 2. And yeah, we've got interceptors coming on the way now. But we've got fast flamers as well. Very aggressive play here from YZ. Nothing to defend it. Aversa's going to have to come out of base a little early. Strike Squad are rotating. The IST being caught by the Sentinel. That's not what you want. The IST is so squishy without their Sergeant. I mean, they literally, quite literally, have the same HP per model as Guardsmen. Which actually will change in the next patch because they're going to be lowered from 5 models to 4 models. Which I think is a really nice change. I think they get a slight increase in their rec cost. But it'll mean they bleed less. And they'll feel more like Stormtroopers rather than having literally the same HP as a Guardsman model. They do more damage, but yeah, they bleed horribly. A little bit too aggressive there with the heavy weapons team. Of course, he doesn't know there's an interceptor coming, and that will help deal with that. And this is the problem then, you've got 2 squads of Guardsmen, one can be tied up by the strikes, one by the Aversa, and you're in a bad spot. The Guardsmen just get routed. Probably not even going to finish off the node here, nope. And a lot of bleed, Commissar out of position. He does now have his power sword, so 50 DPS power melee, he'll fare pretty well against the Interceptors. Interceptors getting a little bit lucky with a special, here comes the Sentinel with a stomp. Good stomp. Yeah, Interceptor's going to get out of there. But got to be careful with the Sentinel. Remember, Grey Knights have Storm Bolters, so they're a bit scarier versus the Sentinel than most melee squads. When they're chasing you, they can do quite a lot with those Storm Bolters. And here comes the Executioner Pistol. I called it Neurotoxin earlier. It's the Executioner Pistol, it's the Neurotoxin ability. He's not going to be able to kill the Commissar here. He's trying to go for it with the Neurotoxin. It's not enough. If the Strike Squad did actually get into position and get some melee attacks, then that could have worked. Also, I believe if you use Psychon, it does buff the damage of Neurotoxin. Not 100% sure, but I'm like 60% sure. Can anyone confirm that? Does Psychon buff the damage of the Neurotoxin ability? Oh, maybe. But this is nice. See, there's a lot of this green cover on the map that you can't crush. So stick your little hero inside there on range stance and bleed the IG, but the heavy weapons team will definitely get rid of the Aversa there. And again, Guardsmen charging forward to the generator farms, trying to bash it with those flamers, but they're not going to be able to due to these interceptors. IST sneaking through and taking that portion of the map, but they need to go grab that wreck. This is one problem for the OM. They certainly have a lot less squads than the IG. Of course, he's got 2 Grey Knights here, so they're very expensive compared to Guardsmen. And a little bit overeager with that jump there. At least he's forced off the stomp from the Sentinel, so he knows that's not there right now, but of course he has no counter to the heavy weapons team in the back. And you've got this Commissar running in now. It's quite scary. Surprised to not see any Kadashan follow-up from YZ. That probably would have sealed the deal here for this game. But he can go tier 2 anyway, and he's going to be quite far ahead. This is just the matchup. Honestly, it's really hard for the OM. So we see the Psychon there. Strike Squad trying to rotate around, get behind the heavy weapons team, but it's not really working. Interceptor's taking forever to heal up in base. They're not even finished yet. And the Flamer Guardsmen getting the job done. They take out a generator, take out the node, but they're actually quite low right now. However, the Strike Squad were routed, so guess not too much to worry about. Can the Commissar kill an Interceptor here before he himself is forced off? That's the question. Nope, apparently not. He doesn't want to risk it. Nice team, meanwhile, just running around, capping the backsides. They caught the mid VP there, caught the natural. Sentinel's just going to spend its time decapping. And the IST are avoiding combat. Honestly, probably didn't even need the Sergeant on the IST. I don't really feel like he's used them properly in combat at all yet. Mostly just a side capping unit, so why even get the Sergeant? It's not just the initial cost, but it's also the constant higher upkeep from having more pop. And it is a very requisition heavy matchup for the Ordo Malleus. You just need so much wreck because you're bleeding a lot. Even your Grey Knights will bleed in tier 2 when Guardsmen start pulling out plasma guns. You start brawling with Ogrins, and you've got Psyker blasting you. Psyker and Vindicare are both very good in this matchup. I would expect to see both of them. I actually quite like Ogrins as the IG here, and if you're a Commissar, it's honestly no-brainer. Get the Aura of Discipline, pick up your Ogrins. You'll fight really well in melee, especially with a Psyker to support. Psyker, at the current time of me casting this, which is in the 2.9.9.1 patch? I don't even remember what the patch name is because we've been in this patch for so long. It might be the old patch though by the time this video gets up. But yeah, the Psycho is pretty broken right now. Going to be getting some nerfs for sure in the next patch, which should help tone it down a bit. But we'll see. Right now, YZ's just going for the very, very old school Chimera. Honestly, Chimera first versus OM I think is a terrible choice. It leaves you extremely vulnerable to the combination of Vindicare plus Purifiers. So we'll see. Aversa Assassin as well can get Melter Bombs as an accessory, so that could be quite scary. If he runs in from a flank, hits it with a Melter Bomb, snares the Chimera, and you've got a Vindicare shooting it with Turbo Penetrator rounds, and then you've got potentially a Purifier Justicar with a Thunder Hammer which does heavy melee. Just think, Strike Squad, Interceptors, Purifiers, that's a lot for Ogrins to deal with. Then you can pick up the Claw on the Aversa instead, and start pressuring the Ogrins in melee, Bio Meltdown, kill the Guardsman, and so on and so forth. But we'll see. Good thing for the Commissar is he can support Ogrins really well with that Aura of Discipline. As long as he's the only one nearby to them, he can heal them a lot. I mean, it's like 300 HP or something for the squad every 8 seconds? Something like that. It's a lot. There's the Vindy chilling in his cover. Guardsmen are going to get out, try and shoot him down, but they're going to struggle. because Strike Squad are running in, gonna scream for the Vindy. Yeah, good damage coming in. This use target acquired. You can see the little symbol here. That means that he's actually keeping vision on the Chimera right now. Because he does have longer range than he has vision, but you can use that ability to really hunt down a single unit. So put a good bit of pressure onto the Chimera there. It's going to back out though. IST needs to retreat. Timely retreat. Good stuff. It's helping Mostafa stay ahead actually in the VPs quite a lot, even though it feels like he's been losing the fights. So really good play there with his IST. Justicar for the Strike Squad and the Interceptors. And the Eviscerator Axe. Interesting. This is a tier 1 weapon now. So a bit weird, honestly, to pay 25 power to get that in tier 2. I wouldn't. The DPS on the Neuro... What's it called? The Neuro Gauntlet? Is that what it's called? The DPS on that is just so much higher, it's insane. Now he's got Chem Cloud grenades. I understand this. So you throw it on... Well, you can throw it on anything. 50% damage reduction is great. Debuff the plasmas. Throw it on top of the Ogrins. Suppresses them. Oh, this does not look like a good engagement for the OM. Let's see how they do. They're committing pretty hard here. He's got his Eviscerator Axe kill zone ability active. It's going to buff the damage of the nearby Grey Knights and Interceptors, but they're on the normal melee, which is not very good against super heavy infantry. It does debuff damage. The Eviscerator Axe itself will do good damage, but yeah, the Ogren's just reinforcing off the Chimera. We had a... what's this? Oh, that's the Chem Cloud. I was going to say, is that a Bio Meltdown? No, it's the Chem Cloud. Should probably have a different visual effect for the Chem Cloud and the Bio Meltdown, shouldn't we? It should be a different colour. Maybe make the Chem Cloud orange. That's quite a distinct effect then, because that Bio Meltdown, it looks like Bio Meltdown, and you think, oh my god, my Guardsmen are dying, but then they're not losing HP because it's only a damage debuff. And yeah, now we're getting plasma guns as well on the Guardsmen. Not ideal. You really need the Purifiers for this reason. They deal with the Chimera with a heavy melee once it's snared by a Melter Bomb, but also the other dudes who aren't the Justicar have power melee, so they do way more damage to the Ogrins. Still no Melter, and he's going for Terminator Libby. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's very good, to be honest. Why does he not have the Melter Bomb right now? He literally could have thrown that Melter Bomb on rear armor and then got Turbo Penetrator rounds on rear armor with a Vindicare. That would have been great. Okay, he's now using Bio Meltdown, but there's only Ogrins and a Commissar who don't really care because they're not that squishy. Oh, man. He's... Oh, the fucking... Wow. Just got executed. Did the Vindicare by the Flak Jacket from the Lord Commissar. Man, Lord Commissar is so good against Ordo Malleus. And Bio Meltdown hurts your own units, nearly kills the Interceptors. Ogrins don't care. And this is Ogrins without the Aura of Discipline. Ah, no, it's not, sorry. He does have the Aura of Discipline, which was helping these Ogrins stay really tanky. This looks really bad for Mostafa. Really bad. I don't know what the Terminator Librarian is going to do, and he's now bought another sub-commander against the Lord Commissar, who has the Flak Jacket, so that doesn't seem very good. I find the Axe was a very weird choice. Okay, it can buff the Strike Squad and the Interceptors, but like I said, who cares? The threat is the Lord Commissar, the Chimera, the Ogrins, and power melee is needed for that, and heavy melee for the Chimera. Purifiers do that. Strike Squad and Interceptors, they're not really that big of a deal right now. They just need to type Guardsmen to stop the plasma gun shooting. So I wouldn't be buffing them. I'd just be maxing out my power melee damage on the Aversa, so I can tear that Lord Commissar to pieces if he's got AOD. And I can tear the Ogrins to pieces if he's got Stubbornness. That would probably be the best thing. And then then you've got more pressure onto the Commissar, so he can't just be using Flak Jacket to execute my Vindicare. To be honest, I probably wouldn't go Vindicare as well. You can. It's good against the Ogrins. It depends. If you get a Beamer, it's obviously better against the Chimera because it snares as well as doing damage, but then it's a setup team, right? But the thing is, you're the EA, so you've got Melter Bombs on the EA. If you can hit a Melter Bomb and hit the Chimera with a Beamer, then it can't move, and then it's just food for a gaggle of Grey Knights to beat up close. See, now Mostafa's going for the Purgation, presumably to grab a Beamer, but it feels like it's kind of too late. The IG's just getting crazy amounts of resources. He's barely bled. I mean, Ogrins haven't even bled that much, to be honest. He's tanking a lot of damage on the Scent, the Commissar, the Chimera. And Mostafa's got no gens. I'm going to have to try and find a game where the OM beat the IG. Because I've cast 2 today. As in the day of recording, not the day at which this appears on YouTube. And the IG kind of stomped the OM, to be honest. I do think it is a really easy matchup for the IG. And honestly, this build I think is terrible. I think not going the double Kadashians definitely hurts, but it doesn't matter, it's still tough. It's just a really hard matchup for the OM. Yeah, look at this. Look at the damage coming out of those guardsmen there. Execute. And 6 plasma guns. Pretty scary. They're just melting that Terminator Librarian right now. Such a weird choice, the Terminator Librarian. I mean, look, I get it. The bubble to control the Ogrins, but the Ogrins are a defensive tool for the IG right now. They're not offensive. They're defensive. The Guardsmen will kill your Grey Knights. So you've got to go and melee the Guardsmen, and then when you do that, you've got Ogrins fighting you, and they can knock you over with Use Your Head. So, what's the Libby gonna do? He's just gonna get shot to pieces, and then it's a Commissar, so he's got Flak Jacket, which can do spike 300 damage to your damn Terminator Libby. What are you gonna do? And now Mostafa finds himself basically base locked with no resources. YZ can get out a damn super unit soon enough. Needs a bit more power, I guess. IST, no. Oh, I don't know. I guess he's not bleeding at all. He must have more wreck rather than having a lack of power. He's just got more wreck than normal. Yeah. Committing out to a fight here. I don't think he's using Might of the Titan. I believe that has a separate buff indicator. But you can see it doesn't really matter. This was a weird choice, man. 50 power melee for 25 power in tier 2 is really bad. Just get the Neuro Gauntlet and chop them up, you know? But really good use of the Commissar abilities there. Flare on the final engagement really shuts everything down. You're not going to win in melee when you've got these Guardsmen, one of whom even has the Commissar. The Commissar himself is really strong in the Guardsman squad. That guy's got the stats of a Tactical Space Marine Sergeant. So, you know, 6 plasma guns, all of them doing extra damage thanks to the Inspire ability, which is basically Battle Cry from the Force Commander. He's flipping you around with his specials. Ogrins are knocking you over with Use Your Head. The Ogrins are getting healed by Aura of Discipline. And then you've got supporting fire from a Kim and a Scent. Hopeless. Hopeless. You need Purifiers. Honestly, you've got to get Purifiers. Maybe you can get lucky and make a play with like a Melter Dreadnought and catch a Chimera, but it's not good. You know, there's a heavy weapons team with a las cannon. This guy can pick up a Claw. Ogrins do heavy melee, and then there's a missile launcher which will outrun your Dreadnought. That's not a good play. Purifiers are the highest win play, I think. Purifiers plus Vindicare or Beamer. Maybe you go Beamer if you're against the Commissar, because you're worried about getting flak jacketed. Against the other ones, you probably want the Vindicare, just because for AV it's probably pretty equal, since, okay, Vindicare is more mobile, but it doesn't snare. So that the snare on the Beamer kind of makes up for the fact that it's a setup team. However, the advantage of the Vindicare is, once you've killed the Chimera and the Sen, you can just keep your Exodus rounds in. Well, actually, Exodus rounds are better against the Sentinel as well, because it's not vehicle armor. So once you kill the Chimera, you just keep Exodus rounds in. You can actually put a lot of pressure on the Ogryns, because the Beamer would put a lot of pressure onto the Sentinel as well. But the Beamer wouldn't do anything to the Ogryns, or the Commissar, and the Vindicator can help focus fire them down. Vindicator is actually quite good at bleeding Ogryns, which is nice. But yeah, I guess that summarizes the matchup. If any of you have a good replay where Ordo Malleus wins against the IG, I'd like to see it. The other thing is, in the 2 games that I've casted today with IG versus OM, there's been no Psyker, no Primaris Psyker, and I think Primaris Psyker is the shit against OM. Everyone's going tier 3 because the IG is like not bleeding. Get your Chimera and your Ogryns, and then get the Psyker, and I don't know how the OM is going to win. Because the Psyker just guarantees that the Ogryns will never die. Drop the Dome on top of them in every melee fight. It's just ridiculous. And then have all that extra psychic damage, or whatever the damage type is. It seems to do very well against Grey Knights. It's unbelievable. Use Strip Soul on the Purifiers, and they'll take more melee damage, so then your Commissar and your Ogryns can beat them up. It's really, really hard. Anyway, there you go, folks. I am going to be signing out. Peace.